Okay, so we are in phase 8 now. Uh, just to give you a glimpse, phase 8 is all the way towards the end of this course, and we are going to be dealing with table views today. Table views and some other things surrounding it. Again, congratulations on getting this far on this course. I know it's been a lot of dedication, and I encourage you to continue. We're almost there. So phase 8, today we're going to be dealing with object-oriented programming. We've touched on this before, but we are going to dive a little bit deeper today. To remind you, we touched on object-oriented programming when we dealt with the food ordering app, the app that we placed orders for chips and wings and drinks. So we're going even deeper today by creating a full banking app. Yes, we're going to be creating a full banking app today. And this is going to rely on a bank object, aka a bank class. And we're going to be displaying the transactions of that. We're going to be, let me make this bigger. Uh, we're going to be displaying the transactions of this bank accounts on a table view. A table view is a list of items. So kind of like when you're scrolling through Instagram or scrolling through your missed calls on your phone, that's a table view. So we're going to be displaying all the transactions of our bank in a table view today. This is a very important concept to know in programming, be it on Android or on iPhone. You have to know how to work with table views. You have to, because it's one of those things that you would come across. You can't avoid it. You have to come across table views in your ideas. Think of any app. Most of them use table views. Calendars, note-taking apps, your social apps. um, a lot of apps use table views. So, and a banking app like this one is going to be using table views as well. So we're going to be going deep into how to design and populate data on a table view. Um, then after that, we're going to talk about dictionaries, and then dive into the life cycle of a view controller. This is also important to know. Um, So we're gonna dive into that. So first, let's create the banking app. So this is the banking app, the sketch I made. There will be two possible accounts we can um, load. One will be account of Bob, and the other will be account of Mary. And this will display the total balance in this account. This will display any error messages we have. And then we have an ATM in our bank, to withdraw and or to deposit. So this will be there, and then this again is our table view, which would be displaying the transactions in this bank, um, which includes every withdrawal we do and every deposit we do. And then at the bottom here we have a simple switch that is going to disable this account or enable it. So once this switch is off, the account will be inactive. Once the switch is on, the account will be active. When it's off, you can't make any transactions because the account is disabled. When it's on, we can make transactions because the account is active. Okay, so to make things a little faster today, I've already designed the banking class. So we're going to go over it when that time comes, and then I will start using it. But for now, let's design the interface, which is this one. Okay. So first we would have. Oh, by the way, like I said last time, going forward, we are going to now be using um, the new ratio stack view system I taught you in the previous sessions. we're no longer going to be doing drag and drop. So pay close attention as I design this screen to be scalable. Okay, so from the top here, we'll see that we have the major views stacked um, in a vertical stack view. So we're going to import a vertical stack view, and then import this layer up here and then this layer down here. So there is going to be uh, two other stack views inside the main vertical stack view. So let's go ahead and start with that. Need to rearrange this. Okay. All right. So first we need to create our new storyboard and view controller. So let's start off with the view controller. This will be new file, Cocoa Touch, and this should be view controller, view controller. This shouldn't have changed for you, but for me it changed. So in case yours wasn't view controller by default, change it to view controller. So this should be view controller 7. And then we save, next, and what else? Create. Okay. Gonna get rid of this, and then for our storyboard, we're gonna create storyboard 7, new file, storyboard. I'm gonna call this storyboard 7, create. Okay, and then real quick, we're gonna go to our first storyboard, our first ever one, the storyboard, first ever one. We're gonna create a button that is gonna launch this banking app. I'm gonna copy this text, paste it in here. I'm gonna call this screen 7 banking and table view views, yeah. And then I'm gonna make this bold, text color black. Gonna increase the font size. Okay, looking good. Looking good. I think I need to make the font size a little bigger. Okay. So now we have this set. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna connect this to our original view controller, which is the first one, and then from there we'll be able to launch the screen when we need it. And to do that, we click these 3 dots, not the lines at the top, click Assistant, then we'll scroll down to the last bit and drag the news button we just created, drag it, oops. Okay, so we drag it in, hold on the control key and drag it in. We're gonna call this screen 7 button clicked. Okay. I hope you have done that. And then next we'll copy the code for opening a new screen, copy it into the button, call this 7, and then this one 7 as well. Okay, then now that we've made this button work, now we're going to proceed to connect our Storyboard 7 to our view controller. And remember, the way to do that is to open up the Storyboard, close this, open up the Storyboard, dragging a UI view controller onto the blank, dragging a UI view controller onto the blank looks like we already have one here. So in case you don't already have one, you drag one in, then open that up and click on the identity inspector and find the class for view controller 7. So that should be at the bottom. Click it and then copy this name, paste it in the Storyboard ID, in the restoration ID, paste it in the Storyboard ID, and then press enter and check this box as well. Okay, so now we've connected Storyboard 7 to view controller 7. All right, the next thing we'll do is to start designing this screen. But before we start, let's do a very quick check, run the app, and just make sure that everything is working. So I'm gonna run this app, click the button, and see if it launches the screen. This is our launch screen, ignore that. Okay, so let's test this out. Awesome, it launches. So now let's move forward to actually, Now let's move forward to actually designing this screen here to match what we have in our design. Okay, and to do that, remember I said we have a stack view at the top, a vertical stack view, and then we're going to nest 2 further vertical stack view inside it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, close this. Okay, so let's start. Let's expand this. We need our view. Okay, I'm gonna make this bigger. Okay, so we need a stack view. Stack view, and it should be a vertical one. We put it inside our view. Sorry, we drag it onto our screen. Once we have that done, the next thing to do is to make the edges match the corners of the screen. And we don't drag, simply just click the stack view and then click on add new constraint at the bottom. Once you do that, press 0 tab 0 tab 0 tab and then press enter. Now the stack view has filled the screen. The next thing we're going to do is to add another stack view that would cover this area and then this area. Okay, actually it should be this from here. The stack view is going to cover from here to here, and the second one is gonna cover from here to here. So that means the first stack view is going to encapsulate these views here, these views, and the second one is going to encapsulate the ATM, and the table view with the status widgets. So let's do that. I'm going to add another stack view. Okay, let's call this top stack. Let's call it top stack. And then press enter. We add another one below it. Of course, a vertical stack view. Let's call this bottom stack. Remember, the reason we have two vertical stack views inside a root stack vertical stack view is because the items are from a grand perspective, they are arranged in a vertical way. Like the contents of this top one, as you can see, it's in a it's in a vertical arrangement basically. Look at this one, below it we have this one, and below this one we have this one. So you have to be thinking about the arrangements as you decide which kind of stack view to use. If you look at this one, there is an arrangement here which is in a vertical manner, compared to the table view below it and this one. So it's a vertical arrangement. That's why we have to use a vertical stack view. So now we specify the ratio for their positions. So looking at this design, it looks like from here to here is like 30%, and from here to here is around 70%. So let's try that and see how it looks. So we're gonna hold on the shift key and select the second stack view, and then click on add constraints, and then select equal heights because this is a vertical stack view. Click add constraints. Okay, so now it's half. We're going to update that to be 70 and 30%. I'm gonna click on attributes inspector, the multiplier, and then we're gonna change that to 3737. Enter. Nope, we need 7373. Okay, great. Let's compare. Looks like we need a little more space up here. Yeah, we need a little more space. So maybe this should be a 6-4 instead. So we'll change this to 6-4. This really means just 60% to 40%. Enter. How does that look? Yeah, that looks about right. How about 6.5 to 3.5? 6.5 to 3.5. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. So now we have these two stack views. Let's go ahead and design the contents of the top one, which is going to first contain a horizontal stack view here for these two buttons. So let's start off with that. So we're gonna need a horizontal stack view here, a vertical, wait, this is a vertical first, yeah, another vertical stack view, and then a label. So let's start with the first horizontal stack view at the top. So click on top stack, add horizontal stack view. inside the top stack, let's call this users stack, enter. And then we need another stack view here that is going to hold this label and this one. And we're gonna, this is a vertical stack view because they are arranged in a vertical manner. So this is going to be a vertical stack view. We're gonna add that. Let's see. Vertical stack view, add it right below the user stack. And then the last thing we're gonna need is a label, so we're gonna add that. So label, and this is the error label. So let's call that error label. And then this one will be the let's call it dashboard stack. Or let's take out this, let's just call it dashboard. Okay, just to keep it simple. Okay, so we have the dashboard. Notice we have an error here. That's okay. That's because we haven't assigned constraints to this. Constraint means positions in the stack view. So let's jump into that. Now we have the three main items imported, which is this horizontal stack view, this vertical stack view here, and then label. Let's assign weights, aka ratios, that would make them look like this. Okay, to help the visual, I'm going to assign colors to this just temporarily, so you can understand how this is going to work. So for the user stack, I'm going to assign maybe pink. No, this is too dark. Something much lighter. Yeah. Then for the dashboard, I'm going to assign something blue. Then for the error label, I'm going to assign something greenish. Okay. All right. So now let's assign the weights. This looks like it's going to have a weight of let's see. This is a 20%, I think. 20% to 80. So this is 20 and this will be 80%. Same with this one, 20 as well. So that means 20 plus 20 is 40. So this will be 6, 4. So let's try that. So first we select the first stack view, and then we hold the shift to select the rest of the items. Then we click add, oops. Then we click add constraints. So we want equal heights. This is a vertical stack view. Okay, so now we have equal height sets. We're going to modify the constraint for this one. So this is the dashboard. The reason we're going to modify this one is because this is the one that is different. If you look, I don't know why this thing keeps switching places. If you look here, this one up here and this one down here has the same height, so we really just need to mainly modify this one in the middle here. So to do that, we're going to find the constraints that pertains to that, which would be this one, and then we'll modify it. So we're gonna say 6, 4. Okay, so looks close. So this looks like we need more, so this would be 7 3. Yeah, much better. 7 3. Or even 7.5 and 2.5. Let's see, 7.5, 2.5. Yeah, much better. Okay. All right. So this is why I color coded them so that you can have a sense of how these things work. So now we have this one set. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add these buttons. So if you look, we have a space here, a button, space, and a button. So to achieve this, there are two ways to do this. One is to add, hard code a lot of spaces. Like say I want there to be like 20 units of space here to maybe 40 units of space. But if you want this to scale, the best way to do this is to again use another stack view. So stack view holds this one with space, another stack view holds this one with space. So I'm gonna do that real quick without talking so I can be fast enough. Okay? All right, so let me dive into that. Let's see. So our top stack view, I need two more stack views inside, and that will be horizontal stack view. The reason I'm adding two more is, like I said, because I need to make those spaces more professional. And this would be, I don't need to name them, I'm just gonna overlook the naming. I need to add a space inside that space. Oh, view, UI view. Okay, and then I need a button. This is gonna be the most advanced screen we're gonna create, so pay attention. The button is in the same hierarchy as this one. Then I need another space, which is gonna be a UI view. Okay. All right, now I am going to do the same for this one. I'm going to add a view, UI view, pretty much the same thing I did for the other stack view, and then a button, and then a view, which is a space, UI view. Okay. So now before I add constraints to this in the child, I'm going to close this down and assign some weights to this one. So this should be equal. Select both and click add constraints. This should be equal width. Add one constraint. Okay, now I'm going to focus on their childs. This should be equal width. Add constraints, equal width. See that? I'm going to do the same for this stack view. Equal, oops, come on. Oh my god, what is going on? All right, let's try this again. Why does this thing keep popping up? All right, equal widths. All right. So now, according to the design, the buttons have much more weight in their habitat or whatever in their stack view. So I'm going to make these buttons have more weight inside their stack views. So to do that, I would find the constraints relating to the button and then add more weight to it. So that would be this one. And then I would say button should have 6 and the rest 4 7 3. Yeah, much better. And then this one, same thing. I would find the constraints, this one, and then I would adjust the weights. So 7 3. Awesome. So now, as you can see, it's looking more like this. Okay, so how about the space up here, the space we have up here? Now pay close attention. To add that kind of space, all we'll need to do is we would click the root stack view for this one, which is the users stack. Okay, and then we would go to, that would be spacing. No, that would be individual spacing. We'll go to the size inspector and then go to layout margins, change this to language directional, and that would give us the ability to modify the 4 sides, the spacing on the 4 sides. Okay, so again, I clicked on the stack view. I want to put margin inside, and then I click the size inspector, change the layout margin to language directional, and then I'm going to update the sides. So remember, I wanted to update only the top and the bottom. So that means I would start with I will leave this at 0, and then top, yeah, 8 is fine. Bottom, I'm gonna put this at 0 as well. Bottom 8. So let's check that out and see. Yeah, looking good. So last thing I'll do to these buttons is just to make the corners rounded. So corner radius maybe 3, corner radius 3. Remember, this is gonna show when we launch the app. It's not gonna show now for the corner radius. All right. So this is done. I'm going to put this color on the button itself and then remove it from the actual. Or you know what? Let me leave the colors just so that your brain can see the differences, even though it's not the most. But let me leave the colors on. Okay. So rather, I will just add a border width, so you can border width 2. This is on the buttons 2. Okay. So real quick, let me go back. So the next thing we'll do is to add this one and this one. We have a seed. This is a label, and then we have this one, which is another label. So notice this center label has a boundary, so that means there is going to be a space here and then another space here. But this one is just going to be a label that's going to stretch all the way. So that means this is going to be let's see, let's see what we have for this one. For our dashboard, we have a vertical stack view. That's going to include this. So we're going to have a label, a horizontal stack view, and then another label. Okay. So let's add a label. Horizontal stack view, and then another label. Alright, so label, horizontal stack view, and label. So let's design our first label. This label, oh, we need to assign weights to them. So we want this to be, again, so the center one is going to be much bigger. So this is going to be like, 7, 3. Let's try that out. So select everything, make them equal heights first. Equal heights. This is because they are in a vertical stack view. Add 2 constraints. Then update the constraint for this center one that we want to be different. So I'm gonna click on this to find the constraint. That would be this one. Then we say 7, 3. Yep, looking right. Okay, so let's update this label. Seed bank. I'm gonna add a space in the beginning just to make this simple. There are many ways to do that. I'm gonna make this bold. All right. Then I'm gonna change the font just to look fancy. System italic. Nah. Just gonna leave it that bold. What? Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it that bold. Then I'm gonna make this more bigger. Yeah, looking good. All right, then for this one, we're just gonna call this error label. Error label. Maybe 2 dots. Okay, not much to be done here. Then now onto this. So as you can see, this one is pretty special. We need a space on the left and right side. So we're going to add a space first into the stack view, which will be a view. And then a label. Then another space. Okay, so looks like the label is dominant, so this is gonna be some kind of 6, 4. Let's try that out. So first we give them equal heights or equal widths. Equal widths. Add 2 constraints. We need more, so we need to update this label. This is the one we're looking for because we need the label to be bigger. I'm gonna say let's see, 6, 4. How about 6.5 to 3.5? Yeah, much better. All right, so now let's customize the label itself. I'm gonna call this $0.0. I'm gonna center. This is under alignment. You click the center, and then we're gonna make this bold, and then increase the font size to be much bigger. Okay, let's zoom back down and see. Remember, the reason I have these colors is just to help your eyes. In a normal term, I'm not gonna have all these colors. It's gonna be much cleaner. But I have these colors to help you understand the systems we're using here. So we have this one done. Next, I am going to, let's see, we have to design this withdraw button and this one. So that means we need to first add a horizontal stack view here, a table view, and another horizontal stack view to hold these two. So to do that, let's get to work. So where is my stack view? Top stack, there you go. So we need a horizontal stack view. A table view, remember this is of type table view. So we're going to add a table view. And then we're going to add another horizontal stack here for this. So horizontal stack view. Okay. So let's assign weights to them. Yet again, I'm gonna give these colors just to help our eyes. The stack view at the top, I'm gonna color that. I'm gonna use a completely different color this time. Maybe something, yeah, yellowish. And then the table view should remain white. The bottom stack view should be some kind of bright reddish. And then our table view, that should remain white for now. So let's assign them weights. As you can see, this one up here has about 30%, let's say 20%. This one has 20%, and then this one has the rest 60. So let's deal with that. So I'm gonna assign equal heights to all of them first. Equal heights, add constraints. Then now I'm gonna make the table view much bigger. So I'm gonna expand the constraints we just added. Find the table view and then make it much bigger. So this would be 6 4. No, this has to be like 7 3. Yeah, that's too much. 8 2. Still too much. How about 9 1? too small, so it has to be 8.5 to 1.5. Okay, looking good. All right, let's see. Wait, what's this extra label up here? Oh, looks like we have the error label twice. So what I'm gonna do, just to save time, I'm gonna get rid of this the text I have here, but I'm not gonna delete the label. I'm just gonna leave it there as a blank space. Okay. Let's see, error label. User stack and dashboard. Yeah, for now I'm just gonna leave it here, then let's go back. I'm gonna change this to white, just so we know it's a blank space in disguise. Where is it? Okay. All right. So now we have to design this. So we need a button, a text field, and another button. Let's go ahead and do that. So selected this. Inside our stack view, and then we need a text field, and then we need another button. Okay, looks like my Xcode is getting slow. Yeah, so time to restart. I'm gonna restart Xcode real quick. This happens. Okay, command save. So I'm gonna close this down. Quit. Then I will restart Xcode. Seed. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna select the 3 items and then add weight to them. In this case, equal weights. Then I need this to be slightly bigger. Or I can leave it like that. So one thing I do need is spaces around. I do need spaces around each item. Okay, so let's do that. So first we're gonna need space from the root stack view, which is this one first. Then we're going to add spaces in between them. So to add margin around the 3 items, we're going to click the stack view, of course. Then on our size inspector, we would change the layout margins to language directional, and then we have this 8 inferred margins. So that's looking good. At this point, I will change the background of the stack view to plain. system defaults, and then I change the button colors to whatever we had it to before. That would be maybe this should be green since we're dealing with money here. Some kind of green. Yeah. And this one as well. So let's change the text to withdraw, and then this one deposit. All right, and then we need spaces in between the items. So to add space, like, where is it? To add space like this, we simply go to, we click on the stack view, of course, and then we go to the attributes inspector, and then change the spacing. So I'm gonna increase this. See that? Let me make it even bigger so you can see. Let me make it 10. Okay, so now we have space. I'm gonna make this text bold. Okay, and then let's take a look at the contrast. That looks okay. So real quick, I'm going to get rid of the background color on this one. So that's the user stack. I'm gonna get rid of the background color. False. Then button should be pinkish. Or even blue. Let's see, background. Then this should be Bob, and this one should be Mary. So Bob was gonna be text color black, and let's make that bold as well. This one text color bold and text color black. Okay. So things are looking good. We have Bob, Mary, our withdraw button, our deposit button. So now I'm going to get rid of this background color here. Why isn't it changing? Oh, because okay, because this background color is coming from the root stack view here. That should be the dashboard. Yeah, so just get rid of this background color. And then this one, our text field should have the background. Awesome. All right. All right. So it's looking more like it now. So next is this bottom space here. So we need a label for this and then a switch. So we add two items, which would be a label. This is our stack view here. I'm gonna call this status stack. So status. Okay, enter. So we have our label. Then next we're going to add our switch, which is this one. All right. Notice I added it below label because they are basically arranged just like you add them. Um, so this is going to have a weight of what, 7? This one 3. So this label is gonna have weight of 7 and the other one 3. So this and this, first of all, give them equal width. Add one constraint. Then open up the constraint and modify that to 3, 7. Okay. I need this centered. Where is it? I'm gonna ignore this for now, but let's see. I'm gonna ignore this for now just to save time. But for the label, this is what do we have here? Account active. We have it as account active. Enter. I'm gonna make it bold. Center. And then bold. Awesome. So now I have this done. I'm going to remove the background color because you've seen it. I'm going to remove the background color, which is pink. I'm gonna change that to plain. Okay. All right. Now this is done. The next thing I will do real quick is to preview this design, and then we'll go ahead to now make changes to the table view. So let's do a quick preview and see. This is our splash screen. We're waiting for it to load. Okay. Let's see. So this is our design. It's looking okay. It's looking okay. Bob, Mary, our display over here, withdraw button, deposit button. So I think we need to make these corners rounded real quick. Just let's make them rounded. And then this one needs to push further. Okay, so let's do that. So this one needs to have a rounded corner radius 1. Let's make it 2. Border width 1. Wait, let's see. Yeah, and then this one too have a rounded corner. 1, 2. 1, 2, or even 4. Let's leave it at 4. Okay, let's run and see. Yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good. Okay, let's make one more change, which is assign more weight to this one. Let's see. So this would be 2, 8. Yeah. And then let's make this button's color a little darker. To do that, we would then do the same for this one. Then let's make the text bigger. Font size, 20. This one 20 as well. Okay. Oh, by the way, you can also preview the. Where is it? You can also. I'm trying to hide this. What is going on here? You can also preview the design by clicking. Like preview the actual design by clicking here, and then click preview. That will show you what the app would look like on an actual. Like it's gonna show you the real colors on display. One thing it won't show you is the rounded corners. Those would only show on an actual simulator. So let's run the app and do a final check. Okay, so this is it. Yeah, it's looking good. So now let's proceed and design the table view. Okay. Yeah, this is working. So let's proceed and design the table view, which is this one. All right, so table view. A table view, like I said, is a list of content. And one thing we need to know about table views is that they can provide an unlimited number of stuff, and those things they display are shown in something called cells. I'm thinking of where I can find a very simple one. Let's see. So if you can see the lines demarcating these items, each item is a cell. Each item is a cell. Each item is a cell. So for example, on Instagram, each person's post you scroll through, that's a cell. On your call log, each missed call is a cell. So that's oh, this is perfect. So each of these is a cell. So and they scroll of the screen. So first we're going to design the cell, but we're going to design them just once because in softwares don't recreate these cells, they actually reuse them. So as you scroll through these contents, as you scroll through them, once they leave the screen, they get recycled and they come back up here. And once the next one goes off, it gets recycles and come back up here. So you only need to design the cell once, unless you have different kinds of cells, then you may need multiple, but otherwise you really just need one. So let's design the cell. In this case, we need a cell that says date, the description of the item, and the price. We're gonna make the price to be a button just to help you know how to handle button clicks in a table view. So the first thing we are going to do is to create a class for our cell, just like we have a class for our storyboards. When we are designing cells, we're also going to need a class for that cell. So for this one, we're going to create a new folder under our project, and let's call that folder widgets. Widgets. This is where we're going to be putting our cells. Okay, and I want this folder to be below storyboards. Yeah, view controllers, storyboards, widgets, utilities. Awesome. So inside this folder of widgets, we're going to create a new file. And then this, because a cell is interactive, we're going to click Cocoa Touch. Okay, and then next. Now, this is where we're gonna make a major change. All along we've been, leaving this subclass as UI view controller. Now we're creating a cell, a table view cell. So we're going to change this to a table view cell. See that? Table view cell. And then we're gonna call this let's call this bank cell. Bank cell. How about that? No, let's call this transaction cell. Yeah, make sure you spelled it correctly. Transaction cell. And then click next, and then create. So this is a UI table view cell class. This is what it looks like. So now this is done, we'll leave it as it is and we'll get back to it. So let's go back to our storyboard 7. So this is our table view. Let's add a cell to our table view. So to add a cell to your table view, just click the table view, click it, and then click the plus button, and then search table view. As you type table, you're gonna see a table view cell. See that? Then drag the table view cell, not the table view, the table view cell, drag it into your table view. And then you're gonna see it add. So what I'm gonna do now, this is our table view cell, the white one. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to expand it. This is a view. I'm expanding the view of the cell. So now I'm gonna design that cell to, I don't know why this keeps switching. I want this here. So now I'm gonna expand it. I'm gonna design the table view cell to look like this. So like, remember I said we have a label, another label, and then this would be a button. So, and it looks like it's in a horizontal stack view. So we're going to add a horizontal stack view to our cell. This is our cell. Okay, so this is our cell. We're going to add a horizontal stack view in there. Horizontal stack view. Okay, now we have our stack view. The next thing we're gonna do, just like a brand new storyboard, we're going to make the boundaries match the table view cell. So select the stack view, click add constraints, and then press 0 tab 0 tab 0 tab 0, then press enter. Now the boundaries of the dimensions of the stack view matches the dimensions of the cell. Okay, so now we just designed the stack view or the cell just like we design any other view. And like I said, we need a label, and a button. All right, so let's keep that simple. Label, another label, and then a button. First label, we'll call that time label. Second one, info label. Then last one, price button. Price button. All right, and then as always, let's assign weights to them. So this will be equal width because it's in a horizontal stack view. And then as you can see, the description here has much more weight than the rest of it, so we're going to add more weight to the center one. That will be, we'll open up the constraints for that. Info label, where is it? Oh, I opened up the wrong one. Open up the constraints, info label. Okay, this is it. So I'm gonna add, say, let's see, 6, 4. Yeah, that works. All right, and then I'm gonna assign a background color to this stack view. Background color would be maybe pink, some kind of light pink. Oh no, light green. Let's see. Let's go with a light green. Very, very, very light mint green. Okay, and then we're gonna make our stack view rounded. Let's make our stack view rounded. Okay, then let's customize our button. So our button, let's make that to be some kind of green as well. And then let's make the text, let's call this dollar button. And then let's make the text bigger and bold. Too much. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, so now let's center this text. Center. Let's center this one as well. So this is going to reveal the price of the cost of whatever transaction this was. This one is going to be the description. So let's call this info. And then this one is going to be the date. Or let's say time. Okay. Next, we're going to make this. Let's add, space them out a little bit. So we're going to click on the stack view responsible for that, which is this one. And then under the size inspector, we're going to change the layout margins to language directional. Now we have some space in between. Let's add some contrast to our button. So border width 1, and let's what else? Let's round the corners. Yeah, 6. Okay. All right, so now we have this done. We have our time, info, and button. So the next thing we'll do is to connect these items to our transaction cell class, just like we'll do with a normal view controller. So let's do that and connect them. So to do that, we're going to need to open this side by side. So I'll hold the options key on the keyboard and then press the file I want to open next to it. So for this TableView cell, oh wait, before we do this, we need to connect the TableView cell and the TableView. We need to connect this TableView cell file and the TableView first. So to do that, this is our TableView cell. We click that, and then just like a view controller, we would go to the identity inspector and then find this class transaction cell. See it, transaction cell, and then let's copy that, and then go to our attributes inspector and put that in our identifier. Okay, and press enter. So now they are connected. Now this transaction cell class is connected to the cell we added to our table view. Okay, so now we are officially allowed to drag and drop our widgets, our views into this class. So hold the options key and press this. It's gonna open side by side. Now we are going to trying to make space here. Now we're going to drag this into here, drag this one into here, and drag this one into here. Remember, this is a button. Normally we add buttons below here, but for this particular project, we would add it up here. I will explain the reason why later. It also works if you add it below as a touch up inside, but for some reason we're going to add it up here, and I will explain. So first we need the time text view. So I'm gonna hold the control key. I'm gonna do this from here instead. So I'm gonna hold the control key and drag over here. So let's call this time label, enter. Let's call this one info label, enter. And then the price button, yes, we'll put it up here as an outlet. Price button, enter. Okay, and we're pretty much done with this transaction cell for now. So we can safely close it. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is to connect the rest of all these to our view controller. So that is this button, this button, this button, this label, every other thing, we're gonna connect it to our view controller now. And as you remember, we simply click this, click assistance, and it opens it up. No, it didn't. Let's see, I'm sure we connected them. Let's try again. Assistance. All right, so this is the point when we do it manually. All right, so let me just confirm I did connect it. Let me confirm, because that's the only reason why it wouldn't do this. View controller 7, view controller 7. Yes, I did. All right, it's just a bug in Xcode. We're gonna open this up by holding the Options key and then clicking the view controller that we want, which is view controller 7. All right, so now they open side by side. All right, so let's start from this button up here. So it's a button, we bring it down here. Call this Bob account clicked. Then this one, Mary account clicked. Gonna make this bigger. Okay, then up here we would have our balance label. Enter. Then the next thing we're gonna need is our error label. Enter. Then this is another button, so it's gonna come down here. Withdrawal button clicked. Enter. Deposit button clicked. Okay, and then we need to bring in our table view as well. So I'm gonna pull this in, table view, pull it up there because it's an outlet. Transactions table view. Enter. Everything is working so far. Then the last thing is this account status and our switch. So account status. Oops, this should go up. So account status label. Then the next one would be our switch. Let's call this account switch. Account status switch. Oh, let's leave it as account switch. Yeah. All right. So now we have our balance label, error label, transactions table view, account status label, account switch, Bob account clicked, Mary account clicked, withdraw button, deposit button. I think we still need this text field. So let's bring that in. This would be, let's call this ATM text field. Yeah, the amount, ATM amount text field. ATM amount text field. Connect. All right, we're almost there. Let's see. So we have this one connected, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. We have this one connected and this one connected. All right, looking good. So in total we have 3 buttons: bulb account, Mary account, withdrawal button, deposit button. And then we also need this switch down here to detect when the switch has changed. We have our table view. Okay, so let's add the switch. Okay, let's see. Drag the switch in here as an action. Value changed. I'm gonna call this switch account switch account switched value changed. Okay. So now we have all this. Table view. Okay. Let me close this down. So now we have all these added, and we also have our TableView cell created on the other side. Everything is looking good now. So now let's move on to the next section, which is we've designed our banking app. We're gonna design next our bank object. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Bank objects. So I'm gonna copy this whole code here. I'm gonna copy everything. Command A, Command C. So in our utils folder, I'm going to right click, click new file. This is going to be a regular Swift file, Next. Let's call this bank. Create. And then I'm gonna paste everything here. Alright, what's already there. Okay, so now as you know, our banking app does 2 main things. It has an ATM. It does 3 main things. It has an ATM which deposits and withdraws. It has a text display that shows the total balance, and it has transactions table view down here. So what we're gonna do next is go through the bank object that is going to process all these. So the bank object is a class I created that gives you the basic functions of a bank. And one of those functions is displaying your balance. Displaying your balance, showing the transactions. This is a random list that says where the transaction happened. This is just a regular list. And then the age of the account holder, the name of the account holder, the address, and the account status. The age is an integer, the name is a string, the address is a string, and the account status is a Boolean value. That means a true or false value. And then this is our initialization function, which creates a bank account using a name, an age, and an address. Okay. Then we have a deposit function in here. I'm sure by now you know what a function is. A function is like a capsule of code that does something. So we have a deposit function that takes in a number and then an error label. and then processes that to deposit the money into the account. A quick overview of what this function does is it checks if the account is active. If it's active, then it goes ahead and deposits the money. That increases the balance up here. And then it also creates a new transaction log and adds it to this list of transactions up here. The same thing happens for the withdrawal function, except it subtracts money from your account. Um, then there is this get balance function. There is the get transactions function, which returns this transactions list up here. And then there is the get account status and set account status. Now, the transactions list is a list of a transaction object. And that transaction object contains three main values: the amount that was uh, dealt with, either deposited or withdrawn, the source of the money, maybe you paid for something or you bought something somewhere, and then when that happened, a date object. Now, notice that this class is inside of this file bank. I did this to show you that it's possible to create another class inside another class. But in this case, this is not within the parentheses of the bank. It's actually at the end of it. So these are two classes that are in the same file, but they are not really connected. They're just in the same file. Another thing you would notice about this is that there is no initialization function. That is, there is no init function. Something like this, we don't have it in the transactions class. Let me show you clearly. Something like this, we don't have it in the transactions class. That is very, very intentional by me, because I wanted to show you that you don't need that to create a class. You really only just need something, like a variable or a function. The initialization function is needed when you need to initialize something first. So for these transactions, I thought I should show you this method, so I didn't add an initialization function. Rather, when you want to populate these values, you simply call them one by one, like transaction.amount equal to this, transaction.date equal to new date, transaction.source equal to source, in this case, source.random element. I'm grabbing a random transaction source from this list. That's why I'm using source.transaction element. And then after that, after I've populated the values of the transactions, I insert it into the transactions list, which includes the amount that was dealt with. So it goes inside this transactions list. And it's this transactions list that we're going to be using to populate our table view. Remember our table view, where is it? This table view. We're going to be using that transactions list to populate this table view. So that's the bank class. I recommend, by the way, on your free time, take some time and study this class. See the thinking behind it. Study it and understand how it works. The if statements, the functions, how I packaged each function, and how I thought about the functions I needed to create in order for this banking to work. Think about all this and check out especially the if statements that comes before each transaction. It helps. And again, this error label is to display an error label, to display an error text on a label that you pass into this function in case something goes wrong. All right. So with that said, let's move on to actually populating our table view. So we have our table view declared. So we have our table view declared up here. So now, how do we actually display stuff on this table view? It's actually it's a system we need to understand. And if you pay close attention, you can understand it. I will provide you all the code that you would need to understand this in the most easy way possible that I think. Okay, so like I said, a table view is a list of items, all right, and there is some functions that needs to be called in order for these items to be populated. Um, and those functions are where is it? Those functions are called table view data source functions and table view delegate functions. So they include a function that returns the number of rows in a section of table view. Another function that returns the heights of each row. Another function that has a callback for when a row is selected, and then another function that displays or customizes each cell for each row. Um, so we're going to be dealing with all this today, and we're going to be doing them in a separate extension from the view controller class. This would help us to keep things organized. So as you can see in this sample code here, there is the table view declaration. There is a first of all, there's a table view declaration. We already have that in our own. This is our table view. There is a width and a height variable, and this width and height variable is initialized inside the view did load, where we grab the screen width and the screen height. So let's go ahead and bring this in to our view controller class. Screen width and screen height, copy that. Bring it somewhere down here above the view did load function. Paste it in. Then let's copy the code that initializes this screen width and screen height. Let's put that inside our view did load. Then the next thing we'll see here is table view delegate and table view data source. Now these two calls, it simply says, hey, the delegate for this class and the data source for this class is already embedded, and I want you to tap it from this extension. Okay, so this is a very essential line, very essential line, since we are using an extension. So we copy this and also put it in our view did load. Then the next thing we would see here is our extension. This is the extension that deals with everything table view. Don't be scared. These are really straightforward once you understand them. So let's copy everything in this extension. And as you may know, extensions come at the bottom of the class after the last parenthesis. So let's go back to Xcode and add it after our last parenthesis. Okay. So now we've done this. First thing I want us to do is let's rename this to our actual table view name. So transactions table view. Let's copy this and rename here. This is transactions table view. Okay. Then let's go back to our extension down here. You notice this has a name that is temporal, so let's rename it to our actual view controller name. So this extension is extension of our view controller name, which is view controller 7. So we're gonna do that here, view controller 7. Then let's go back to our code. So the next thing we would see here is there are 1, 2, 3, 4, About four main functions, let's ignore this one for now. About four main functions in our extension. The first one we see is the one that grabs the numbers of rows that should be in our table view. And that is determined by this return value here, which says fridge.item count. Now, the fridge.item count is referencing to the sample code here, which populated a table view using the items in a list. Table views are usually work from some kind of list. So that list in this sample case was a list of items: milk, egg, cheese, ham, beans, corn. So for now, let's just copy this list, even though we're not dealing with fridge right now. But let's copy this code. Let's copy it, and let's bring it into our code. Let's put it below this height. Let's bring it in here. Okay. Then the next thing, so that's for our table view. So now our table view is going to deal with the count of the items in our fridge. All right. The next thing we have is heights for row. So this is the function that determines the height of each row. So what the code we have simply calculates that height based on the height of the screen. So in this case, I have a simple code that does screen height divided by 10. Okay, gives the cells a reasonable size. So we already have that code here, screen height divided by 10. This is why we declared the variables at the top, remember, for screen height and screen width, because we're going to be using that to calculate heights on the fly. And then the next function we have is a did select row at. So now this is the one that detects when you click a row in your table view. Okay, and the simple thing we did is to just toast whatever row was selected. So this code will just show a message in the app, hey, you selected this row. All right, and then the last function there is the one you really have to pay very much attention to, because this is the one that designs the content. It populates the content of each cell. So so the first thing that happens here is, again, this is a cell for row at, so that means we are going to be designing each cell here. And also, if you remember, I told you that the cells get reused. So that means when this one goes off the screen, it becomes blank again, and then you have to say what goes in each area depending on the index of the new row this phone system is trying to use it for. So the first thing that happens is we grab the index from this variable here and say index path dot row. This gives us the index that we're working with. This is very essential. Then the next thing we do is we grab the actual cell object by saying TableView.dq reusable cell, and then we pass in the identifier we had passed in to our TableView cell. Remember when we made some connections here, and then over here we passed in this identifier. So that's what this parameter requests. This identifier we specified here. It is very necessary. And then we of course say the name of the class we created for the cell. So over here, let's do that for this project. So cell TableView.dq reusable cell. The name of the cell we created, the identifier, was this one. I'm gonna copy it, copy, go back to our view controller, and then replace that text with this one. And then, of course, we need to specify the custom class we created for this cell. And if you remember, the custom class we had created was inside the widgets folder, and it was called transactions cell. So good news, it's the same text we have over here. So transactions cell, boom. Okay, so right now this one is set. Then the next thing is to customize our cell. So customization, this is where you say what goes on the visual of the cell. So here we have dummy items like this time info button. During the customization, we're actually going to display a time on it based on the index of the cell and display some much more meaningful details. So to do that, remember we are working with a temporary fridge now, just to show you things simply first. So first we have the index, then we grab the corresponding index from this fridge's list. So that's what we're doing here. So the label, we don't have any. Let's display, let me comment this out for now. For this first one, so we're gonna display the food on the let me see what we have here. We're gonna display it on the info label. Okay, so cell dots, the cell is referring to our transaction cell. So cell dots info label. Remember when I told you the index is very essential, because we're gonna use this index to know where we are dealing with and then pass it into this fridge. The fridge is this one, to grab the index that we are on and then display the item on that index. Okay, and then so we have cell.infolabel.text equal to fridge.index. Let's use the time label to show the index we're on, just so you can understand better. So let's say cell.timelabel, let's use that to display the index. So we're gonna display index on our time label. Remember, our time label is this one here. We're gonna display index here, display the food here, and then for the button, let's see what we're gonna do with it. So for the button, it's a clickable button. Okay, so it's going to work differently because it's a button. So this is what we're gonna do. Remember when I told you to add it as an outlet over here at the top here? This is because I wanted to reference it after and assign a callback click function to it. And this is how you do it. First, you give it a tag, which is the index, the same index we are using up here, because we're gonna need this index when the button is clicked. So the name of the button is amount button, right? Let's see. Oh, price button. Okay. That's not right. This should be amount. So let's rename this. Rename. I'm gonna change this to amount. Okay, so cell.amount button, the tag equal to index. Then we're gonna I'm gonna rename this one too, cell.amount button. All right, so this is where we save the index we're working with into the button. Then the next thing is to add a touch up inside a click button to a click callback to this button. And the way we do that is we say cell.amount button dot add targets. Then we specify the name of the function. So before you do this, you should have already created a function somewhere in this format by saying Objective-C function and then passing in the parameter of sender. You can just copy this code, but the key is to make sure you have this first and then just in this format. Then you copy the name of the function you created and pass it in here. So for this one, I'm gonna change this to amount button, amount, and then make that same change here. Has to be exactly the same. Okay. So now they are the same. That means when this code is ran and this button, when this code is ran and this button is clicked, this code inside this function is going to happen. So we're basically here, we saved an index into the button. Here we're saving a callback into the button as well, which is this button, which is this function. So when this function is running, the first thing we're gonna do is retrieve that index from here. Remember the index we saved? And then using that index, we can now access the fridge. That's how we know we're in the fridge we are trying to access stuff from. And then we say, then we toast the food item that we are on. So I think this app is ready to test quickly using this food thing we just did. So let's go ahead and do a quick test and see how the fridge works. Right now only the table view is supposed to work. So let's do a quick test and see. All right, app run. Okay, it's looking good. We have our milk, our egg, our cheese in the same order that we have everything here: milk, egg, cheese, ham. All right, so that means we can scroll. Let's scroll and see. Oh, by the way, these buttons are huge. Damn. Scroll. Awesome. So since this is very huge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the size of each cell, and like you might have guessed, the way to do that is by actually, I like how this happened. That way I can reduce the size of each cell right in front of you. So remember when we have the function height for row at in our extension. So all I have to do now is just increase this number to have a smaller value from the division. So let's say divided by screen height divided by maybe 11. Let's try that, 11. Then let's run the app and test. Still too big. Let's try 13. Okay, I think it's much smaller and yeah, it's much better now. Okay, so index 0 milk, index 1 egg. Remember in programming, indexes start from 0. Index 2 cheese, index 3 ham. Okay, this is looking good and it scrolls. Awesome. So now let's test out clicking each cell. Says I clicked row 0. Says I clicked row 1. Looking good. How about the buttons? Let's try the buttons. Cheese. Says I clicked cheese at index 2. Awesome. Let's try this one. Says I clicked ham at index 3. Awesome. So this is working. This is very good. This is very, very good sign. So now we can actually a second, let me get rid of this. So now we can actually go ahead and replace this code for fridge and food with our actual bank transactions. Okay, I used the fridge to give you a very simple basic example before we dive into much more advanced stuff, because we are all advanced, you know, we are high-tech guys and girls. All right, so let's so now with the fridge is working and our table view is working. That's a very good sign. Everything worked well. Everything worked well. So now let's proceed towards making this comply with an actual bank. So we have two accounts up here. So let's start by initializing these two accounts, okay? And then loading them into a dictionary, aka map. So to do that, we would, oh, by the way, this is gonna be the last super app we're gonna create. The next app we're gonna be working on won't be as complex, should I say that? So you should be happy. All right, so we need two bank variables for Bob and Mary. To do that, we would say we would first of all declare a variable that would hold the map, in this case var accounts, and this would be of type string as key, and then bank as the value. This is not initialized yet. And then we'll create the actual account, bank account, in this case var user account. This is the account that will be on display, and this would be of type bank, and this wouldn't be initialized yet. We'd rather initialize them in our view did load. So in our view did load, we're going to say the first thing we're going to do is let's create bank accounts for them, right? So for, let's say, let's Mary account, this will be equal to, this will be of type bank, then this will be equal to bank. So we pass in a name will be Mary, age 21, address Houston, okay? And then we're gonna do the same for Bob. Remember, we have another account here, Bob. So I'm gonna just rename this Bob, lowercase b, Bob. A name, Bob. Address, give me a date. Let's see. New York. Okay. All right. So now we've created these two accounts. Next thing, remember, on our goals today is to deal with maps, aka dictionaries. We're gonna load them inside a dictionary, and this is the dictionary. Okay. But first we're gonna initialize these two variables. Um, so first I'm gonna initialize the accounts. So accounts equal to I'm gonna initialize this. This is how you initialize a dictionary. Just define it and put opening and closing parentheses. That's the initialization. And then I'm going to load these two bank accounts into the accounts. So I'm gonna say accounts so accounts with key Mary. The value should be Mary accounts. This is me loading data into a a dictionary. I'm gonna do the same thing for Bob. Account in this case Bob. And the account was gonna be Bob accounts. The value is Bob accounts. Okay, so now I just added values into this dictionary up here. Then the account that will be in use currently, I'm virtually creating, I'm virtually gonna sign one of them in. Maybe I'll choose Mary again. I'm gonna sign Mary in. So to do that, I'm gonna say user account equal to user account equal to, and now I can optionally say Mary account. I can pass in Mary account, but to further explain the concepts of dictionaries, I'm going to load it from the dictionary instead. So by signing Mary in, I'm going to just say accounts with key Mary, and that's gonna return to me the Mary account that I had previously loaded into it. So now Mary is signed in. Okay. So the next thing we will do, now we have a user account that is signed in. The next thing we're gonna do is we're going to work on these buttons, the withdraw button and the deposit button. So withdraw, the withdraw button, it's simple. The goal is to say user bank, user account dot withdraw. It's really that simple. That's why we created the function. Okay, but now we need the withdraw amount. And what is that amount going to be? We're gonna grab that from the text field, which is this text field over here, because it's like an ATM. You enter the amount you withdraw, enter amount you deposit. So we're gonna grab that amount from the text field, and to do that, we're going to say so I'm going to grab it from our text field. So var let's this will be called amount. This will be of type integer. Yeah, int. Equal to, well, let's keep things simple. Let's start from text, the text that was passed in. This is of type string, because a text field is initially a string. So this would be what did we call our text field? Amount text field, ATM amount text field. Dot text. Okay. Then next we're going to declare the amount. This will be amount. And this is of type double, because it can have a decimal value. So this is where we say double, and then we pass in the text, because we're trying to convert text into a number. So we pass in the text, and then we say check if it's a real value. So this, we're converting a text into a number here, and then this is just a check to see if the number exists. If it doesn't, we return 0. All right, 0.0 or just 0. So now we pass in the amount here, withdraw amount. Let me shift here. So withdraw amount would be amount, and then we pass in an error label. This is where we display an error if there is an error, and our error label was this one. So error label, copy that. I think it's the same spelling actually. Paste it in here. So we grab the text from our text field, which is this one, and then we converted it into a number over here, and then we passed it into the bank class to do the withdrawal. Now we're gonna do the same thing for deposit. Okay, except here we're gonna say deposit. Okay, it's the same thing. All right, so for withdraw, now we've withdrawn. Okay, that's good. So we probably need to update our balance after we've withdrawn. All right, and to do that, we simply say balance label dot text equal to $sign, and then we pass in our balance from the bank class. So we say user account dot get balance. All right, so $, then our balance. So this would show our balance. Let's do the same thing for our deposits function as well. So we've withdrawn, we showed the balance on our display here with the $. Then the next thing we probably want to do is it's showing the update on our table view, right? We want to show it on our table view. So that means we would say transactions table view, transactions table view dot reload. Okay, and now this is the point where we now dive into the table view. So we're gonna get rid of the food thingy. This is the point where we're gonna actually code the table view. So let's do this also for the deposits. Deposits show balance reload table view. So in our table view, we want the size of the items to be user accounts dot, remember user account is the signed in user, dot get transactions. This is an array of all the transactions that has happened. Get transactions dot counts. Okay, then in our height for row at, we already set that to screen height divided by 13. Then the table view did select row at. We're just gonna toast that you clicked this row. Then we can also do something different here, but let's just leave it simple for now. Then table view cell for row at. This is where we customize. So to customize our cell to show time and the transaction, we simply need to grab our transaction object. Remember this object, bank, this object down here? We need to grab the individual object. Let me slow down a little bit. Remember this object down here? We need to grab this object and then use this info to display the contents of our table view cell. And remember, it's in a list up here called transactions. So we're gonna need to grab this variable. So let's see. We have our transaction cell created already. So up here, we need to say var transaction, this is of type transaction, and then we say equal to user accounts dot get transactions dot, no, this is now when we pass in the specific index of the transaction we want, and that index is gonna be this index. And then so now we have our index specified. So now we can say cell.time label. This can now be transaction this can now be oh, by the way, this is the point where I explained to you how times work. So in the bank class, when we perform a transaction, we save a date. Okay, now what happens here is this date, this initialization, it saves like a point in time when this variable was created. So it remembers this time. That's why we store it in this variable. So to after in the future, if we want to display this time, it's done by using these protocols here. Where is it? So first of all, we retrieve the date object, then we use a date formatter to format the time, and then convert that into a string and display it how we want. And these are the different ways we can format a string of time. You can even do much more with this, depending, but this is a very good brief example of how you can format strings. For now, we're going to be using this one. So this is just going to show the time without the dates, just the time. So and to do this, I've already created a function that pretty much packages that. So this is the function. We pass in the date from our transactions object, and then it grabs the date and then formats the date in this form, and then returns the string version of it. So we're gonna copy this code and put it into our view controller above our extension. This should go above our extension, our table view extension. I close my simulator, it's fine. So this should go above our table view extension. All right. So now we have that done. We can come back to our time label text, cell.time label text, and then we say get formatted time. That's the function we just added. And then we pass in the date from the transaction object. So we say transaction dot date. Then the next thing is to pass in the info, which we did here. Info level.text equal to fridge. So this shouldn't be fridge anymore, rather it should be transaction dot source. Remember, the source is where the money came from or where the money was spent. All right. So this is done. The next thing is to specify the amount. I remember I could have displayed the amount here, but rather I made it a button so that we can click the button and then learn how a button works in a table view and then display it when the button is clicked. So we're going to go into this button click and then display the amount there. So to do that, we have our button click over here. Remember, we had to pass it in here, and then we have our index. We no longer do food, so we've upgraded. We no longer sell food. So get rid of food. So this should be a transaction, remember, and to grab the transaction object, we just copy what we had here. Let's make this a let's. I hate these errors. All right, so we just copy that, put it in here. So transaction is going to be user account.get transactions, and then we pass in the index of the transaction we're on. That's where we can get the transaction we want. So it should toast amount was $, this. Okay, so amount was $, this. All right. Oh, this is wrong. Transaction dot amount. Yeah, so amount was $ transactions.amount. All right. This thing wants a default value. Let's give it that. Okay, so this is just a default value just in case this doesn't return anything. All right. So now this is done. We've passed in the amount. So the next thing, we've displayed the time, we've displayed the info, we've made the button only we made the cell only display the amount when the button is clicked. Let's see. Yeah, looking good. Cell amount, time label, info label. We have our transaction object here, transaction object here. What else do we have? Let's see. Oh, let's test this out real quick. Let's test it out. I think it's time to do another test. So we have Bob, Mary working. Actually, we didn't do anything with this yet. But we have them. We have our balance text view, our withdraw button, our deposit button, our time info. Okay, so we still have this one to do, but first let's test this out and see how it works. All right, so screen 7. Let's see. All right, so let's add let's deposit $5. Deposits. Awesome. That worked. Time is correct. Energy bill button. Let's try $1. Oops. Deposits. Okay, so now we've deposited $5. Let's check that. 5. Awesome. This was $1. We bought $1 worth of gas. Awesome. This is working. This is cool. Let me make this bigger. So this was working, $5. This one is working, $1. Awesome. All right. How about withdraw? Let's try to withdraw $2. 2. Oh, by the way, I need to make this bigger. It's too tiny. Let's see. This is the font for our text field. Make it bold, and much bigger, please. Okay, let's try something. 5. Nope. 5. Okay, so I can actually see what I'm. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at 18. All right, then I'm gonna get rid of the 5. All right, enter. All right, so I'm gonna run the app again just to make it bigger. Okay, so deposits. Oops, I actually deposited $0. Yeah, that's a bug. See, so we shouldn't allow that. So let's go back. Bank app. So deposits. We shouldn't deposit 0. So let's do a quick if statement. If amounts, if deposits amount is less than 1, return. Don't do anything. And this should also come inside here. If account status is active, before we attempt to display deposit successful, we do this check. If deposit amount is less than 1, we return. So this rest of this code is not going to run. So let's try that again and see. Okay, so I'm gonna try to deposit 0. Great, so nothing happens this time around. Great. All right, so let's deposit 5. Awesome, let's check that, $5, great. And then let's withdraw $1. $1, great. Yeah, this is looking good. And the display up here is working. Now let's try to withdraw $6. 6, withdraw. See, it says you're broke. That didn't work. Try again, didn't work. Let's try to deposit 10. That works. 14, awesome. So this is working. So now the next thing to do is let me make this bigger. The next thing to do is to make this switch work. To make this account status switch work. Meanwhile, I'm gonna make this text bigger, the status error label. Okay. So now I've made it bigger. I need to make our switch work. So we have our account switch. So now we're going to say if account switch dot is on, we set the account active. We say user account dot set account status true. Active, in this case, we say true. That means the account is active. Else we say user account is disabled by saying set account status to false. It's really that simple. False. All right. So if account switch is on, remember we're grabbing this variable from here, the outlet. This is happening inside the callback for when the account switch is clicked. In this case, when the value is changed. If the account switch is on, we set the account status to true. Otherwise, we set the account status to false. And when we do this, we should also update the label down here. Did we import the label? We should update this label to say to reflect that account active or account inactive. Let's see, account status label. Yes, we do have a label for that. So we say account status label dot text equal to account. Oops, I need a quote. Account active. Otherwise, we say account is inactive. Account inactive. Okay. And then if the account is inactive, and then we attempt to, if the account is inactive, and then we attempt to deposit or withdraw, we should get an error. So let's try that out. Okay, so right now the account is active. I'm gonna deposit $9. Deposit's good. I'm gonna deposit what, you know, $8 deposit. Okay, so now let me try to withdraw while the account is inactive. I'm gonna try to withdraw $2. Deactivate account inactive, and then I'm gonna try to withdraw. You see, it says account inactive. By the way, I need to add a margin on here. So to do this, I would the fastest way to do this is really to just add quotes. Let's see. But since this is handled inside a bank class, then I have to do it from here. It's much better if I do it from here. So I click this. This is the dashboard. So line spacing. Nope, not this one. Not this one. Dashboard. Margin, layout, directional. So I don't need anything at the top, just at the bottom, just on the left and the right. Top, bottom, 0. Okay, so I just need it on the left and the right. All right, that should work. Let's see. Okay, that looks good. So account, I'm gonna deposit $5. Deposits, another 5 deposits. I'm gonna try to withdraw $2. I'm gonna first deactivate, withdraw. See, it doesn't work, and there is the space I wanted. Awesome. What else? I'm gonna re-enable the account. Try to withdraw $2. That works. Let's check the amount. -2. Awesome. Another $2. Oh, that's working. Awesome. So now we've covered how to use a bank object to deposit money, withdraw money, how to use a dictionary to load accounts. So now I'm going to make Bob. When I click Bob, it's gonna load Bob's account. When I click Mary, it's gonna load Mary's account. So I'm gonna do that real quick. So we have the two functions down here, Bob and Mary. So it's really simple. We have a dictionary of accounts. So when Bob is clicked, we're gonna say user account equal to, in this case, Bob. I'm gonna change this to Bob. I'm gonna just copy this. Okay, Bob is clicked. When Mary's account is clicked, user account equal to accounts. So this is me grabbing the value for the key Mary from the accounts dictionary. There are many ways to do this, but I'm choosing to do it with a dictionary because I want you to understand the concepts of dictionaries. Remember, there are key valued pairs. You pass in a key and a value. That's how you store. When you want to retrieve, you query the key, and the variable returns the value. So now this is us loading the account. So the next thing we should probably do is set the balance of the account. Balance text. and then update the table view below. Where is it? You should now update the table view after the where is my Xcode? Update the table view after it's clicked. So transactions table view dot reload data. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing for Mary. Okay, but now what if, how do I save these values? So that means probably let's say when I click Bob or when I click Mary, how am I going to save the current value here? How is that supposed to happen? So a quick way to do this is, first, you can save it after every time a transaction is done, after every time something happens, or you can save this when the buttons are clicked. But usually, ideally, you want to do this save after every major transaction, like withdrawal, deposits, account deactivated, account activated, or you can save them when these buttons are clicked. I'm not gonna do that now, but I'm just giving you a hint on how to save these accounts. Um, and then also another thing I wanted to touch in this phase is another aspect of saving. What if you want to save this details when the screen is closed? What if that's when you want to save it? How do you now know that the screen is about to close? So this question brings me to the concept of view controller lifecycle. Let me take you through the view controller lifecycle. So a lifecycle, kind of like when a baby, before a baby is born, the baby was a fetus in the stomach. Um, Before that, the baby was born, the baby was a child, grew up, became a toddler, all these stages. So a view controller also has stages that it goes through. And the stages are seen in this diagram. First, there is the view did load, this one, which is where we load most of our contents. This one, this is the most popular one, view did load. There is view will appear. This is called internally after view did load. And all these functions, even though they are not here by default, only view did load is usually here by default. You can pull them up, you can resurrect them and use them by saying, view will, you see, the suggestions come up, view will appear. You see that? The function comes up, that's this one. And then after view will appear, the function view did appear is called internally. This is when the content is actually shown to you. This happens without any visuals. This happens without any visuals. But this happens with visuals. This is view did appear. So this is when you should probably do some UI stuff. Things that would probably crash in here, you should do them in view did appear because the view has appeared. This is the best place to grab things like dimensions of views because the views have appeared. Then this is when, at this middle part is where your app is running. After that, when you do this to close the screen, the system will probably call view will disappear to warn the developer, hey, the view is about to disappear. What do you want to do? And then this is where you do things like save content. So it's in the view will disappear, view will disappear. This is the best place to save something like, let's say you wanted to save this after the view is about to close. This is when you should save it. You can do something like tiny, use tinydb dot put object In this case, I'm going to save maybe Mary. I'm going to save it as Mary bank account. Mary bank account is my key, and then I pass in her objects. In this case, her object is probably, let's say, user account, because that's the one I know that is loaded. Passing user account, which is a bank object, or I can say user accounts, or I can say accounts, accounts, and then I retrieve the Mary object from there by saying, passing the key. This gets me the Mary object. So TinyDB saves it, and then next time I launch the app, I can pull it up from memory instead of creating a brand new one each time. That's what TinyDB is for. It uses user defaults to user defaults, and then user defaults to save data. All right, so this is what a life cycle is like. View will disappear, view did disappear, and view did unload. This is when the view is completely gone. This is good to know because you probably need to do some certain stuff at some certain times, depending on the complexity of your app. All right, so today we've covered object-oriented programming. We revisited the concepts of objects, how to create an object in order to back up your app. If you are creating a food ordering app, you probably need a food order class. If you are creating a banking app, you probably need a banking class, aka object. That's what we did today. We created a banking class in order to process our bank, to do things like withdrawal. Imagine if we had all this code inside our view control. That wouldn't be neat. That's why we created a banking class in order to have this code in there. That way we don't have to do this there. We had this object. We had this separate from the actual view controller code. This is the proper way to do things, we revisited the concept of objects, and we talked about table views, how to design table views, how to set margins. Remember, margins was what we just did here by clicking the stack view, then clicking on layout margins, changing it to language directionals, and that gives us the chance to set margins. We also talked about spacing in between the views. For example, this one, to add a space in between them, we click the stack view holding them, and then modify the spacing. Let me zoom this in so you can see. And then modify the spacing. That gives you space there. So we talked about that, and then we talked about the extensions and delegates that allow a table view to happen, and this link I attached here, this snippet, gives you a very fundamental look at how a table view works. It's good to understand everything in this page. It's not that complex. You just need to remember, everything we talked about, having the dimensions of your screen, a list, setting up the delegates, and then using these functions to populate your cells. It's really that straightforward. Then we talked about date objects, how to save a point in time and how to use that point in time. And we talked about maps again, aka dictionaries, and then the view controller lifecycle. So again, congratulations on your big milestone. I'm really proud of you on this journey. I am hoping to see you in the next phase. We are almost there. This is the 8th phase we're on. The next will be the 9th phase. We're going to be talking about creating even more cool table views. This one we created today is a very basic table view list. Next time we're going to be creating something much more social, like the ones you see on Instagram, those kinds of lists. We're gonna be creating that, and it's gonna be really cool. So see you in the next one. We're gonna be doing some cool stuff as we round up. Okay, and with that, I'll catch you in the next one.